capital variation, building genuine relationships.
I'm really happy to be here with you, Ben. It's been a journey for capital variation throughout many years. We've worked with many different industries in the past. We work with different mandates and different stages from Series A to pre-IPOs. And now that we are established in your city, we really want to work with brilliant minds and people who are actually disrupting technologies and companies that we can bring forward to our group of family offices and institutional investors all around the world. So I'm really happy to have you here. Thank you so much. If you could just introduce yourself to audience, will be amazing.
Yeah, great to be here. So I'm Dr. Ben Goertzel. I'm originally a mathematics PhD, but I've been doing AI research and development for many decades now. And I'm now leading a company called trueAGI, which is working on building artificial general intelligence, I mean, real thinking machines, and then rolling out our AGI technology for the enterprise in a suite of groundbreaking AI enterprise products. And it's been a lot of fun working with that with you, Margaret, on capital variation, on sort of orchestrating the rollout of true AGI technology across different vertical markets.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. I always enjoy working with dynamic environments and a group of people. I have, I think, a breakdown today, the conversation in like four articles or areas. I would say one is the vision and differentiation of AI, and how true AGI is being at the front end of technology and innovation for enterprises. Then we have what is actually technology and how is going to be scalable globally, business model and marketing strategy, and ethics and long-term vision. So I think for our group of investors, it's very important to understand, the mind behind the companies and the people behind the companies that run the next generation of technologies. For you, Ben, how does through AGI differ from generative AI systems that dominate the market today, as opposed to other companies, for example?
Yeah, so I would say in terms of AI for enterprise, first of all, I wouldn't necessarily say generative AI is actually dominating the market. I mean, chatbots are big news, but in terms of application of AI to real business problems, generative AI is still highly error prone. So, I mean, one is often actually using other sorts of machine learning technologies in an enterprise setting, although certainly LLMs and other generative AI tools have an increasing role. But yeah, let me take a step back though, because I've been working on AI for a number of decades, as you know, and I launched the term AGI, artificial general intelligence, in a book in 2005, basically to mean AI that can generalize, can make big leaps beyond its training data and
Mm-hmm.
its experience, rather than just following the distribution of its training data and following what it was programmed. So now the concept of AGI has become well known, and you have companies like OpenAI and Anthropic, Meta, Google explicitly working toward AGI, toward artificial general intelligence, but nobody is there yet, right? And we're still at a very interesting time in the evolution of the AI field when we have sort of sparks and hints of AGI systems
Mm-hmm.
doing more and more general things, but we're not yet to full on AGI that can generalize beyond its experience at the level that humans can. And indeed, until someone has achieved full on human level AGI, no one can say they know for sure how we're going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
It's clear that LLMs, generative AI, is going to be an important part of the picture because these systems are doing very interesting things. but they also have serious shortcomings. Like they don't fundamentally know who they are or what they're doing or why they're doing it. As a result of that, when they make random stuff up, they can't self-correct because they don't even have a foundational notion of idea versus reality, right? So having been around the AI field a long time and built a whole bunch of different practical AI systems doing all sorts of things, from finance to video gaming to genomics to building the software behind the Sophia robot, the first robot citizen.
I see the picture back there on your wall. It's pretty
Oh,
cool.
that's Desdemona. That's Sophia's little sister. Yeah, she sings in our rock band where I play the keyboards. Actually, yeah, she's probably
Yeah.
my best robotic friend. But yeah, I've seen a lot of trends and ups and downs in the AI field. So I think, one of the dichotomies that's been there since the 60s in AI really is neural nets that you're training to imitate the data that was fed in, and then what's called symbolic systems, like logical reasoning systems, program learning systems that are making more symbolic abstractions rather than just copying the training data. And there's been ups and downs over the decades between neural net slash machine learning systems that copy their training distribution and
Right.
then symbolic logical systems that try to extrapolate more fundamentally beyond the data that's been fed into them. So right now, certainly the neural net data modeling approach is in ascendancy. It's done amazing things. My thinking is the way we're going to get the breakthrough to AGI is by putting these very powerful neural nets, put them together with logic reasoning engines, put them together with systems for learning computer programs, and you have a sort of hybrid neural symbolic AGI system. And I've been working on this approach for a while. We have an open source toolkit called Hyperon, which lets you
That's
put neural nets and symbolic AI together. And then what we're doing in trueAGI, so we're collaborating with an open source community on building out Hyperon, and we're collaborating with SingularityNet and the ASI Alliance, which are our blockchain projects, in which I also play a leading role. But we're taking this open source AGI software, this neural symbolic software, and we're customizing it to meet the needs of enterprises across different vertical markets. So I mean, Hyperon is there as an open source tool, and SingularityNet and ASI Alliance are building it out on a decentralized infrastructure. But there's also a role for using the Hyperon tools to meet enterprise needs, which is what we're doing with trueAGI specifically. And there's interesting advantages to rolling out AGI for the enterprise instead of in retail chatbots, because when you're rolling out a chatbot like at ChatGPT or something, I
right.
mean, you need to package up intelligence for a $20 a month subscription, right? And that's hard. It's a different challenge than making a thinking machine, how to parcel out your in development thinking machine into little bits and pieces for different retail users. For the
Yeah.
corporate market, you can just be like, let's make one really smart AGI brain for this company that runs on a whole bunch of servers. And so I sort of think the enterprise model matches the needs of in development AGI systems better because you can make like a big chunk of artificial mind for each company.
And essentially, who could be one of your ideal clients, for example?
I mean, the nature of AGI is it is general, right? So I mean it applies across every vertical market. I would say our prototyping so far and some of our early conversations with potential customers have centered on a few verticals that our team happens to have hands-on experience with, but that doesn't mean these are the only things you can do, right? So I mean, I've done a bunch of fintech stuff. I used to run a hedge fund, and I've done a bunch of biomedical stuff, both genomics, R&D, and clinical medicine. And then our COO Robert Werko he used to be a Formula One race car driver, right? So we've done some contracts already using AI to help optimize how the engines work inside race cars. So now we're looking at fintech, biomedical, and a bit of the auto racing space, right? But this is really just because that's where our Rolodex is, right? And these are domains that we've worked in before.
Mhm.
But I think the technology is quite horizontal, but you can see in these domains why you need software that steps toward AGI. Like in finance, as we get near potentially a technological singularity, things are
Yeah,
getting more and more volatile and crazy in the markets, and market regimes are shrinking. So like every 6 months, it's like a whole different world, right? So
yeah,
then training your model based on data from 5 years ago is increasingly irrelevant.
right.
So you increasingly need AI systems that can generalize beyond briefer chunks of data because only the recent data really tells you about how finance works in the current world. Regimes get shorter and shorter. And in biology and medicine, you have similar issues. I mean, there's 8 billion people in the world, but a clinical trial may
Mhm.
have only hundreds of people or at most thousands of people. So in applying AI in the biomedical world, you're always extrapolating from a relatively small amount of data. And this is not what generative neural net technology is good at. I mean, what Chat GPT or Facebook's technology is really good at is taking a humongous amount of data. Like you have pictures of billions of people, and then you learn to do face recognition. You have all the text on the web, and you extrapolate from that. But if you have a clinical trial with 300 people, you have a different problem, right? It's not
Yeah,
interpolating among a humongous amount of data. It's how do you generalize from relatively small amount of data. Like each human has 25,000 plus genes with all these base pairs in it, and all this non-coding DNA. So you've got tens of thousands of items of genetic information, plus all this blood work for only a few hundred people. And our technology and its ability to generalize, even though we're not at human level AGI yet, our technology's ability to generalize beyond its experience is really valuable in each of these cases where you need to make, leaps of reasoning from relatively small amounts of data, where I think that the sweet spot of LLMs and generative AI is really domains where there's insane overabundances of data relative to the complexity of the subject matter at hand.
yeah, and I think we touch base as well on the differentiation of your technology as opposed to the ones that are happening right now against, for example, OpenAI or Anthropic. We talk about sustainability as well. Could you please walk us a little bit through how through AGI can be the lead front of recycling energy, for example? How are you different to this other
Sure,
technology?
there's a couple aspects there. I mean, first of all, I mean, just to set expectations, like AI, however you do it, is going to use a lot of compute power, and that compute power is going to use energy. So there's not going to be a magic that makes AI not use a bunch of energy. On the other hand, the way large language models and many other current deep neural nets work is just unnecessarily wasteful, right? And this goes back on a technical level to how they represent knowledge internally. I mean, what an LLM does with all those humongous number of parameters, hundreds of billions, trillions of parameters, what it does is store a lot of special cases. It like stores every single thing that's fed into it in a certain only slightly compacted form. And that's a wasteful way to do things. I mean, what the human brain does is abstracts from its experience in a more concise way. And this is part of why the human brain uses so much less electricity than a server farm, but delivers a decent amount of general intelligence anyway, right? So our trueAGI's AI technology, founded on OpenCog Hyperon and some other proprietary innovations. I mean, we focus more on abstraction than
Mhm.
just storing all the data in RAM. And because of that, you can deliver more intelligence for less electrical power. I'd say that the ability to use singularity nets, decentralized networks as part of the back end, which is appropriate for some enterprise customers and not for others, right? But
It's
when
also your founding partner of Singularity Net.
yeah, that's right. I mean, I founded SingularityNet, the first AI blockchain project in 2017, to
Okay.
make a sort of decentralized agent system where you can run an AI process on many, many different autonomous agents spanning many machines around the globe. Now, from a true AGI point of view, we've talked to a bunch of customers. Some of them are very open to leveraging AI that's running on a decentralized network if it costs less, right? And
Yeah.
others are like, no, we will pay more to have everything running on AWS, right? And
Right.
so true AGI software backend, it spans verticals and it can support either of those cases. But when a customer is open to a decentralized backend as part of their deployment, I
Hmm.
mean, that can be lower cost that can leverage Singularity Net's networks through the partnership of trueAGI and Singularity Net, and
Right.
that also can be more efficient in power utilization because I mean you can be using machines that are all over the world in all sorts of different places.
Yeah, and at Capital Variation, we're very excited to work with companies that are also building the next level of sustainability for countries around the world. So I've recently noticed that obviously you were traveling in Turkey as well as India. So if you could just walk us a little bit through what is through AGI or Singularity Net building in these countries, it will be very interesting
Yeah,
for our.
actually, my recent trip to India, I was in Chennai and Delhi. We were actually doing some hyper-round AGI hackathons there. So it was about building developer community, right? Like, so SingularityNet was a major sponsor of the Hack India hackathon. We're across a dozen cities in India. We had hundreds and hundreds of students learning to code on our hyper-round AGI platform. We taught them to code using a language called Meta, METTA, which is critical in true AGI's infrastructure, right? So I mean, we're building a global dev community on our unique neural-symbolic AI tools, and this will be super valuable as we start to roll out true AGI products across enterprises, right? Because then when when we need things customized and when companies need to hire people who understand true AGI technology, I mean, we've trained the next generation of students in how to use this tech. Now, while there, I mean, we also, of course, in India met a whole bunch of people associated with different companies in India, and you've got Tata and other consulting companies there, right? And they're very interested in how do we roll out smarter AI through our customers. So while the purpose of that trip to India was developer relations and awarding the final prizes at the Hack India Hackathon and so forth, right? I mean the also was quite interesting to see just the hunger for AI that really
Knowledge, right?
works and can meet their needs among Indian industry as well, right? And then I think the way things would work there is Indian companies can license true AGI software.
Like more of like
But
a
then,
white label product, right?
yeah, but then for custom integration, we can use local people on the ground there in India, including some of the people who did well in the hackathons that we were sponsoring there.
Yeah, that's amazing because we are Capital Variation. We're very much supportive of, international development for the youth, for children, and that's the next generation of leaders, right? So I guess we're just running out of time, but I think my last question for today was to understand your business model differentiator between, your competitors, for example, Anthropic or OpenAI.
I mean, our business model is really, really simple. And as I've found through doing various AI related business ventures over the decades, I mean, for the core AI tech, you have to get complicated, but for business, simple often is better than complicated, right? So I mean, our business model more than anything, it's a bit like Palantir, but with a lot more weighting toward business than toward government. I mean, they started with government because of the era in which they started, whereas now all of business needs AI, not just
Mhm.
government. But I mean, Palantir is licensing AI to enterprises, to corporate customers, rather than offering chatbots for retail use. And this is basically to be our model also. So work with a large corporation. I mean, it could be we're open to government agencies too, but by and large corporations.
Right.
Work with a large corporation, license them our core AGI engine, which has LLMs in it, but also does machine reasoning
Right.
and automated process learning, which are less error prone and better able to understand the company's unique way of doing things. So license our core trueAGI engine to them, and then work with them to integrate it with their internal dashboards and databases, so they really have robust AI automation on the back end of everything that they do. And I mean, if you look at Palantir, this is done super well for them in terms of revenue and also in terms of market cap. And they don't even have AGI technology, right? So you can look at our business model as sort of like Palantir weighted way more toward commercial than government. And
Mhm.
we have a quite differentiating underlying tech stack, which I think can just solve the problems businesses have better and better, because almost every business now faces the same problem I noted in our discussion of the finance domain, right? Almost every business,
Well, it's still
like
geopolitical.
every few months, you're dealing with a whole new world. Like you just
Yes.
got to pivot, pivot,
Geopolitical
pivot,
issues.
pivot, pivot. I
Yeah.
mean, we've seen that in our own businesses too, right? You just
To
when you finish
adapt.
one pivot, you're doing another one, because the world is always changing, and so you need AI that can pivot based on limited data and improvise to cope with a fundamentally new
Yep.
situation. And this is precisely generalization out of your training distribution, which is what AGI does.
Perfect. So it was a great pleasure to be here with you, Ben. I really appreciate your time. Again, we're gonna do this more often. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and what best to hear from an expert like you. So thank you so much for being here, and we look forward to the next series of Through AGI and Capital Variation.
Yeah. Sounds good. Looking forward to the next chat.
Capital variation. Building genuine relationships.